This is the LowcoSports Lowdown podcast. Here are your hosts, Justin Jarrett and Wes Kerr.
Hey, Loco sports fans, Justin Jarrett, Wes Kerr, and Marcus Walsh from WHHI TV with us. And you never know about Max. He might pop in, he might not. Man's staying busy lately, and he, he's a family man as well. Likes to spend time with the family, and we appreciate that and respect that. So
Absolutely.
we'll see more of Max, I'm sure, from time to time as things heat up in the Loco scene. But a little quiet on the Loco front overall. We've got a few things on the docket tonight. The big one, softball all-stars are underway. The baseball coming behind them this week, and more softball coming this week as well. Bluffton off to a great start. 8U and 10U district championships going to Bluffton. And Marcus, you were out there all weekend checking it out, so we'll let you dive into that with some depth tonight because we'll play here in the sandbox for an hour or so, and we don't have a lot of topics, so you'll get to tell us all about the young stars, and I'll connect some dots to the ones that are training with us in our One Loco training, and tell you more about all the former Loco softball stars who are now helping us out this summer while they're home from college. And we're adding another one to the roster this week that you guys will be excited about. So that's going really well, and I'm just really excited about the growth of softball in the area and the quality that we're starting to see. I mean, the days of each team having one pitcher are soon to be a thing of the past. Everybody's going to have pitchers. Kids are training to pitch now, so it's a good deal, and we'll talk about that a good bit. We'll talk a little baseball. We talked a lot when my Waves team went to Cooperstown 2 years ago. We didn't have a Waves team, still don't, in that age group right below us. So the team that's there now is the next Waves team in the line of succession since us. John Graves' team is out there, and they got off to a good start. They won their first couple, they lost one, and then they had one tonight that I haven't checked in, or a couple today that I haven't checked the scores yet. So we'll check in on them and reminisce a little bit about my trip to Cooperstown and some of the fun stuff they're dealing with. I know it's raining a lot. They give you a really good raincoat when you get there for good reason, because it rains a lot up there this time of year. And then we'll talk about a former Loco baseball star who's headed to Omaha. You can probably figure that one out, but we'll call that a trivia question. If you don't know, think about it, and we'll reveal it later who the former Loco baseball star is who's headed to Omaha. But how are you boys doing?
I'm doing great. I just got back from a trip up to Clemson.
Yeah.
Over there, close to the lake. And
yeah, you took a paparazzi shot of Dabo from afar.
Yeah, he was having his football camp over the weekend, and so
I know there were some Loco kids up there for that. I saw a lot of photos on Facebook.
Nice. Yeah, maybe there's Loco kids in that pic that I wasn't aware of, but that's pretty cool.
Very well could have been.
Yeah, how he has those camps for kids from South Carolina and beyond to entice kids to join that program, which obviously is a national program now, nationally well-known program now after a couple of daddies national championships. And Davos done, of course, he's done a terrific job, making his mark on this college football scene nationally. And it's always cool to see the improvements, the campuses and all the facilities that they have. It's state of the art over there at Clemson. But
every campus, anybody who's been back to their alma mater recently is like, whoa, what happened here?
A lot of renovations, crazy. A lot of changes over the last couple of years at Clemson. But yeah, it was nice to go over there. I got to go out in the lake and go in the water. It was beautiful, especially for this time of the year. It's just starting to get into summer. The temperature of the water was absolutely perfect. It wasn't too cold. It was so refreshing. And I'll tell you what, that's not something we get salt water down here. Man, there's nothing better than swimming in a lake. On a lake, we were able to do that. It's absolutely gorgeous over there. If you've been up in the upstate of South Carolina, I got to see some of our schools that we've talked about and covered, including schools like Daniel High School, Powdersville, which lost to Beaufort a couple of years ago in the state championship. So,
Powdersville. I have a little bit of an affinity for Powdersville ever since that game. That team was tough as nails, man, and that coach, I really had a lot of respect for
Yeah.
him. And I don't know. It's one of those things like when you get a new car, you suddenly notice that style of car all the time, you know? Maybe it was like that. Powdersville came on my radar because of that game, and I started noticing Powdersville more and just going like, man, they got a really good program up there. They do things the right way. So I don't know, random aside. How you been, Marcus? You spent a lot of time in that
Oh
booth
Lord,
calling softball.
a lot of yeah, a lot. And looking forward to the baseball coming up that we're gonna see starting on Thursday. But yeah, I tell you what, it all makes sense now. Why for me seeing May River a couple of times and the softball product that they have, it all makes sense because I saw Bluffton a bunch, both
Hmm.
8U and 10U. Those girls can play.
Yeah.
I mean, they just absolutely obliterated everybody that they played. As a matter of fact, I called 4 games over the weekend. There was only 1 run scored by an opposing team the entire weekend, and that was
Yeah.
yesterday in a 16-1 win. Yeah, it was 16-1 to finish
To
things
finish
off
things off.
for Bluffton. I tell you what, they are just loaded, and it was a lot of fun kind of getting back into it and seeing the younger product. But the one thing that really stood out to me, especially in Bluffton's case and some of these early games too, these girls are quick. I mean, they can
Hmm.
hit the ball and place it beautifully, and they are quick. They're not afraid to just run and
Oh
not
yeah.
stop.
They
it's
play
uh
full speed, no
it's
doubt. I mean, you
something
have to.
something
It's a
very impressive to
fast
see.
game. It's a very fast game. And the craziest thing to think about is that unlike baseball, where the field grows as the kids grow, not softball. It's that 60-foot field all the way up. The only
Right.
thing that moves is the pitcher circle. Um, and it gets to 40 feet at 12 and under, and then goes, finishes up at 43 eventually. But I mean, they go to playing on the full size field pretty quickly, and with the full size ball. By 11 and 12, they're playing with the full size ball. So it's interesting to me to watch it now as it develops. The game, it stays essentially the same for a really long time. It just gets faster and faster and faster, and it is lightning fast at the highest levels. It's a crazy game.
I saw a lot of really great players from Bluffton and beyond, but there is one player that I definitely want to give a shout out to. I actually spent quite a bit of the weekend with her dad. He was doing the scoreboard, and that is outfielder Ellis Brabham. Whew. This girl hit everything in sight. I think she hit 2 or 3 home runs again, where she's launching the ball out to the outfield. She starts running. She doesn't stop.
Yeah,
I think she had 2 home runs in one game, maybe on Friday that I saw, and I mean she was the star of the entire weekend. Colleton came out. I saw Bluffton and Colleton in the final game that I did of the weekend. That was yesterday morning. Colleton came out and they really put an effort in to get some runs back. Again, they only scored 1, but they really did a good job of trying to, force the issue early, being down obviously by so many, and obviously too with the 7-run inning rule, that helps things out and
yeah.
helps things go along pretty quickly. Saw a lot of that from all aspects.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
7 runs max per inning. Yeah,
right. So the first night that I was there was Friday, and that game lasted about 3.5 or maybe even 4 full innings. But the rest of the way, it was just 3 innings and out. With so much or so much softball, excuse me, going on Saturday, I was looking far and wide for help because I could only be, obviously covering one game at a time, and was able to get Ray Alonso and Ken Weisner to join me, and they both had a blast. And they both did a great job. it was a first for Ken, but if you guys know Ken, he's full of energy, and definitely took him a bit of time to get going. But once he got going, he was great. And then, of course, Ray knows so much about the inner workings of youth sports and how it goes with the kids, of course. So we were able to talk and get a sense of what was going on, certainly with the family as well, before our games went on. And it was a fun weekend. It was a lot. It was a fun weekend, and then I was back at it wearing my WHHI shirt, if you will, because I was wearing one on Saturday night, having a great event that I will mention later. One other quick thing, I just heard Daniel Island mentioned that I was going to leave for later, but I'll say it now because it kind of affects me in a lot of ways. The John Paul II chaplain for the school, Raphael Gaddis, who will soon be the former parochial vicar of St. Gregory the Great, is going to Bishop England High School, and he's going to be the chaplain there. Which they're it's hard for me to not get emotional saying this. They're going to be in great hands. They're going to be in great hands with Father Rafa. He's given so much of his time to our parish, let alone to JP2. He's all about the kids, instilling faith, and he's obviously around. I never had a chance to see him, unlike other chaplains, at any of our athletic event or any of the JP2 athletic events, but I just know that he's around. And when I got word yesterday that he was going to be the team chaplain at Bishop England starting this upcoming school year, as much as I'm going to miss him in this area, they're getting a great one. And he's going to be the new parish administrator at St. John's there in Daniel Island, and he's going to do great things. So I'll be able to see him a couple of times this week before he departs at the end of the month. So big news, obviously, for 6-4A, and you talk about all the teams that have and need chaplains just for building the culture, and he's going to be great over there.
Yeah. Well, best wishes to him at our nemesis, Bishop England. The only non-Loco school in the region. Yeah. No, I like that we have a heel for our
yes, the foil, as you can say.
Yeah, they're a foil. Yeah, you gotta have a foil. But before we go any further, let me shout out Mickelson Law Firm, our all-star sponsor, presenting sponsor of the LowcoSports Lowdown, our original sponsor. They've been with us since the beginning. I got a cat under the table. And they can help you with all your legal needs, but they are our official real estate closing attorney and presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage. The Eagles still, of course, celebrating the second straight baseball state championship, and we had Hayden Brooks on the other night to talk about it. So go back and check out that episode if you missed it. Also had Chris Wells in there, legendary coach, recapping his first state championship after a long haul as a baseball coach here in the Low Country. So that was a great show. I got to take part in something unique tonight. You guessed wrong on the group chat, by the way, Marcus.
I kind of figured after a second that I did.
Misa, our friend Misa B. Trollin, sent the group chat a photo of my bald spot from the back and said, "What is Justin doing right now?" I was my team was being recognized. Our sports teams, spring sports teams at Hardyville and Ridgeland were recognized tonight at the school board meeting. So I had to step to the mic and talk a little bit about our season. And that was a little nerve-wracking. Surprisingly, I sit in front of the mic and talk to whoever wants to watch anytime, but doing it in front of live humans makes my heart rate go up a little bit. And it was a little anxious, but I was proud to represent our school and our team. And it was really cool to have the state championship relay team from Ridgeland, the boys 4x1 team that won state, and then the runner-up soccer team. We had a number of the players from that team in attendance, and they got, a nice ovation and kind of a victory lap to go up and collect a medal and shake the hands of all the board members, and a lot of smiles on the kids' faces. And it's always cool to see the school board recognize those kids for their efforts. Because they really do. I mean, we talk about it a lot, but they really commit a lot of themselves, whether it's through just being able to keep up with your academics while playing sports, and then the devotion that it really takes at the varsity level, is to be commended, even for those who maybe don't have a huge role on the team. It's a big commitment and a big part of your school culture. So I was glad to see a bunch of my softball girls are out for volleyball tryouts this week. So we're trying to build that culture of multi-sport athletes. If you're not training like a dog, every day, then you ought to be playing another sport, because it'll just keep you training and keep develop different muscle sets and make you better at your primary sport, and you'll make more friends at the school. You'll be a part of another little circle, another little group of that becomes a brotherhood or sisterhood, and you'll have more ride or dies out there. So that's what I did tonight. And let's talk a little bit more about the softball, though, because you mentioned, Marcus, both teams from Bluffton really dominating. Trying to look at the scores here, there weren't a lot of teams in this now. It was just Buford and Bluffton in the
Buford,
10 and
Bluffton,
under.
Count.
It was just Buford and Bluffton in the 10 and under.
That's right.
So they played a best of 3, but Bluffton swept them 12-0 and 16-0, I want to say.
That's right.
And I'll tell you, that Buford team is not bad. That whole team pretty much plays as a little travel team, and they've got some solid players. They got solid pitching, but it just didn't come together for them against a Bluffton team. And you have to give a lot of credit to Bluffton, because that team is very well trained. Zach Lynham coaches that team, and they've had that group together. They either won state or came within a win of state. I think they lost to Moncks Corner in the district and then beat them at state. They'll battle with them again, I'm sure. That was when they were 8 and under. And then I think last year they won it. So they've had a good history here. They've had some good runs, but I believe this is the first year that they have a DYS, I guess, World Series to match the baseball boys. So those girls have something they're shooting for beyond just winning a state championship. At this point, they can go on and represent South Carolina. And this crew they've been training for that. They've been playing a lot of ball. They have a pretty good core of kids that they know are going to play certain positions and hold them down. And then it looks like they're developing some more pitching too, because Taylor had to shoulder the load, Taylor Lynham, for a little while, but it looks like they've got some other girls developing where they're able to do a little more as well. So all looks good for that team. What did you think about that 10U Bluffton team, Marcus?
Yeah, I mean, both were just really, really sharp. And I tell you what, it just all makes sense. I told my dad over the weekend, because I got to see him a little bit. I haven't seen Bluffton High School as far as their softball team yet, and as far as the high school level, my softball knowledge is limited, but it makes sense because I did see May River, and
Right.
they were as finely tuned oiled machine, precision, knowing exactly what to do, going through the paces, doing all of it. And it starts at that age, talking 6, 8, 10, because these kids in 10, 12 years, however long it is, they'll end up going to either Bluffton or May River, likely, unless they transfer to Hilton Head or somewhere else.
Right.
But if they
Or
take
Hilton Head
the path,
Christian or Hilton Head Prep or JP2 or
correct. But if they take the path and stick within that, they're going to one of those two schools.
right.
And so I was able to really connect the dots quite well with that.
The
Just in terms
crazy thing is the girls that we're
athletes the
seeing.
ages that I did.
The crazy thing, though, is the girls that we're seeing at the high school level right now in Bluffton haven't really benefited from this boom that's happening now. You know, like they were kind of trailblazers. They were ahead of the curve. They had to kind of seek it out to get better. It wasn't organically happening in this area as much as it is now. You had Bob Lehman's Bad Cats crew, and you know he would set up you know, a dad coach when they came through and wanted to take a crew and get them better or whatever. But there wasn't a lot going on. And then Sean Gleason came in at May River, and
It was
he
very recent.
has a really high level team, but there weren't a lot of kids from the area who were of the caliber to play on that program for a long time. So we're kind of just
It's
now
the whole
starting
rising
to.
tide thing, as what you've mentioned in the past.
Hmm.
You get these big
Yeah.
players like a Kylie Gleason,
Right.
Reagan Marchand a few years back from
Yep.
Hilton Head, and then Kylie Rast,
Yep.
who was just an absolute stud over there for a couple of years. So it takes
Yep.
a couple people to really raise the tide, raise the level caliber of the players and the teams, and I hope that we're really starting to see that, because I feel like the softball girls, especially at the lower levels, the youth levels, it's really starting to raise their game as a whole, and
Yeah.
then get to the level where you can compete with the best in South Carolina. So that's the long term goal. We want to be right there with the best in other regions of the state, and try to compete in the future for high school state championships. So I mean, Colleton's a great option. We've talked about that area for a while.
Hmm.
And Buford's gotten better, and they've been consistent over the years. And then Bluffton, Alyssa Rose, what she's done,
Yeah.
what she at USCB. She had a couple of tremendous
Yeah.
performances for USCB this year, and she's going to be one that they will count a lot coming up next year. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'm excited to see what she does, and it really reverberates off the rest of the area. And I think softball is really starting to grow, and just the opportunities that these kids are going to get, especially compete for championships like we're seeing now at the district level, in order to
Yep.
get a chance to,
Yep.
represent your state in the state
It,
level. So
it
it's a
really
process.
does start there. I mean, you talk about Colleton and the success the programs there, both Colleton County and Colleton Prep have had in softball in particular, but also in baseball. I mean,
Yep.
Colleton punches above its weight in both sports, and it's because of that rec facility and really healthy, good, strong local rec programs. They get kids playing and understanding the game. And you know, the places that have that, they're going to flourish, and the places that don't, they're going to struggle, because it's a complicated game to play it, you know, right, precisely. The little things matter a lot. The field is designed like perfectly time wise for everything to happen in perfect time, and if you don't do it at full speed, you lose the race every time, you know. So we got to really train kids well in the fundamentals of the game, and we're seeing that, and you know, I mean, we're trying to contribute to it too with the one Loco thing. You know, like we're starting to get it going with, we're going to get it going with baseball soon, but with basketball, it's a little different model with basketball versus softball at this time. With basketball, we've got a bunch of really good trainers floating around here, and Fish and Jamie Manning and Coach Huck, who's come on now, and Coach CJ, and they're about the work, they're about the training, and they just want kids to train. Bring me kids to train. So we're bringing them kids to train. They're coming out of the woodwork from all over the place. With softball, we're approaching it a little differently, because what we're doing is leaning on, we have these college softball players who are home for the summer, and it's been awesome to get Jordan Slocum from Colleton County, catches at North Greenville. Kylie was out on Sunday. We had Kylie and Jordan running the camp, and we had 8 girls out there, all aged like 10 to 12, and getting after it, getting really high level training from college girls who are teaching them the way they train. And so then they can take that home with them and understand what it looks like to train the right way, so they're getting quality reps when they do it at
Right.
home instead of training bad habits.
That's
So,
important.
and we're also, you know, through a nonprofit format, we're able to you know, keep the rates fairly low, and also put some money in the pockets of these student athletes who are working for us for the summer and training the kids up. So it's been awesome. We're just looking to scale it up so that we can get more kids trained, and we got some other ideas coming So be in tune with One Loco and Train 1L on Instagram, One Loco on Facebook, and check out oneloco.org for the latest trainings. But we've got a bunch of these All-Stars training with us. I recognized a few names, not from the 8U. We haven't seen them coming out yet. We haven't really advertised to them yet because we don't want to overwhelm them or get anybody hurt. But it sounds like these girls can play with the big girls. You mentioned Ellis Brabham blasting home runs. There were a couple others, Grace and Margaret Ann, and they put up 27 in their first game. I know it's hard to put the brakes on when you got that kind of situation, but they were swinging them sticks. 33 hits on the game changer, and someone named Kennedy H had 3 home runs and 10 RBIs. Can you tell us more about her? Kennedy on the 8U.
On 8. I've got all the rosters.
She's raking.
Still with me. Oh yeah, of course. Kennedy Helms.
Oh, Kennedy Helms.
Left center fielder. Yeah, she was absolutely raking it, as well as Ellis Brabham, Margaret Ann Carter. You mentioned Dorothy Cooler. Dorothy Cooler needed a cooler to cool down because she was on
every
fire.
Cooler I ever known can rake.
Zoe McNeil, Reese Yako, a bunch of just really, really talented girls. But yeah, Kennedy Helms really did a great job too.
Well, I got to shout out my girls, Eliana Blessy and Ashling Mitchell, because I've known them since they were babies. So got to give them love.
Really, really talented girls there too. I was super impressed with what everybody brought to the table. But every game that I had, whether it was 8U or 10U, Bluffton was involved. So I got to see them definitely up close and personal, and looking forward to seeing what the guys bring to the table later this week.
Yeah, and more softball coming as well with the 12 and under tournament. I believe is what, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, something like that.
That probably sounds right.
At Burton Wells.
So many
It's
moving
either that or
parts.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but it's at Burton Wells and Beaufort, and it's just a best of 3, Beaufort versus Bluffton as well. I suspect Bluffton will have a slight upper hand, but Beaufort does have a really solid pitcher catcher combination in that age group at 12U. So, the pitcher can really neutralize a team in softball, especially at that age. So we'll see how it goes, but it's good times. And then you said you guys have the youngest of the young next weekend, right? 6 and 8.
Right, 6 and 8 in boys.
So fun. We're gonna have a blast.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It looks like it's going to be Thursday at 6 p.m., Friday at 6 p.m., Saturday at 9, 11, and 1, and then Sunday at 9 and 11. So
that dependent on the weather, of course.
Of course.
Yes, we have reached the rainy season. We've reached the pop-up season.
By the way, have you found a 6U bracket yet? I am still looking for one.
It did cross my mind that it's possible that there's only, it's possible that only Bluffton fields a 6U All-Star team. That's always a possibility. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but we'll get to the bottom of it. I'm sure it'll be posted on the BYS or County Parks and Rec page as well. But yeah, we got the All-Stars rolling along. We also have a Lowco baseball star. It's time for our trivia answer. What Lowco baseball star is headed to Omaha for the College World Series? And it is Wes.
You didn't. I was going to do a Jeopardy for, but you did do it. You already did the question. So.
Yeah.
Sure. Who is Darren Horn? So there you go.
That's right. I was gonna do the thing, but I didn't get to it in time. There you go. You got it. It's Darren Horn, Coastal Carolina. The Chanticleers punching their ticket, knocking off Auburn, and so Horn headed to Omaha. Very cool. He came back off injury. He hasn't pitched a ton this season. And I don't think he's pitched in the tournament yet. But you get into that 3-game series, and you never know who they may have to call upon to get an out or 3 or 6. So I know he'll be ready, and what an experience. That's
Yeah,
one
I
of
mean
that's on my
that's
sports
what you dream
bucket
for. You
list.
get
I've
to
never been to
yeah.
Omaha.
I've never been to Omaha. I wish I wish I did, but because my Wildcats came close to making it there, but alas, they did not. But good for Darren Horn. We talked all about his prowess when he played over there at May River, and this guy was showing why he was better than the rest of his competition around here for a number of years around Lowco and mowing down his left and right around here. But then you thought that if he got a chance at a big time school, he would have the opportunity with more with more coaching and just more development at the college level to take his game to the next step. And now you're really seeing it that he's really thrived in his roles, and it has grown throughout his time so far here at Coastal. And what a story that team has been. I mean, just plowing through
Yeah.
the competition, not just dating back to this tournament, but heading in to this tournament. I mean, it is just unbelievable.
Yeah. What are they, 23
Yeah,
or 24 in a row?
23 wins, I believe,
Yeah.
in a row. So
Yeah.
that dates back to before the tournament started. I mean, just incredible the baseball that they have been playing. And I tell you what, I mean, there's something said about a team that's just finding their groove and clicking out there on the field. And there's not a hotter team in the country as evidenced by that 23 game win streak than this Coastal Carolina squad. And I just love the way they fight, compete, and just play all around clean baseball and exciting baseball. And the way that they just dominate Auburn, that super regional, a very good Auburn team at that, is incredibly impressive. Especially what they did in that game 2 to lock it up in that 4-1 win. And it just shut down a really talented Auburn offense with Jacob Morrison throwing strong frames and Hayden Johnson getting the 3-out or
Man, they
they scored
grinded
late.
out
They
some.
got the win. Yeah, yep.
They grinded out some tough at bats in that game too. They had opportunities early. They had one time when they had the bases loaded with nobody out or one out and didn't get anything home, and they just kept grinding. And the same guys who got up to bat and couldn't deliver that time came through later on in the game, which is what you love about baseball. You always get another chance, and ball's gonna find you. You're gonna get another opportunity, and he came through a couple of times. Number 5, I don't even know his name, but he gave incredibly tough at bats in that game. Every time up, got a couple of good reps and drove in runs. And we were pulling for him. We were watching him at free plug Kung Fu Cantina. If you haven't been, whoo, ho, 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 ho. It's Asian and Latin fusion. I'm a big bulgogi fan, so I couldn't pass up the bulgogi wonton tacos, and I will be hard pressed to get anything different next time because they were phenomenal. Kung Fu Cantina right there in Moss Creek Village. Free plug, but hopefully they'll become a sponsor because I want to talk about them every night. They're amazing. From the people who brought you Pizza Company, the little pizza truck in the spot.
Pizza
Yeah,
Co.
the Sampsons. Good people. They know food. So anyway, check out that place. But we were watching that game there and cheering on.
By the way, we now know the complete set of 8 teams that will be competing.
I was waiting.
Murray State just knocked off the Blue Devils and Duke and the
sure did. The
Racers are racing to Omaha.
This was a phenomenal game too. Murray was up early. Duke hit a home run, take the lead. Was up 3-2, had 2 men on, blast to right field. Murray State right fielder robs a home run, keep it a 1-run game, and then they rallied and took the lead, held on and won 5-4. It was a terrific game. This tournament's been phenomenal. The last couple of days, these super regionals have been terrific. And the softball tournament was terrific. The game 3 was a major letdown.
Game 3 was a stinker.
It was really a bummer, because it was such a great tournament. But that's what I was saying earlier about softball's really having a moment right now. I mean, that Women's College World Series
in general, I just think women's sports as a whole
Yeah, I
with
think they're riding the momentum.
yeah,
I think the wave
yep,
is building, and I think people put their eyes on that softball
yep.
tournament and went, "Whoa, this is crazy!" Carlin Pickens is throwing it almost 80 miles an hour. Mia Scott is making incredible plays on one ACL,
Kennedy, that pitcher for
and
Texas Tech,
and Nigel,
she is
yeah,
a
Nigel
star. She
Kennedy,
is a budding star.
she's
I
she's
mean,
phenomenal.
yeah,
Coming back for another year
yep,
too,
yep.
another mill. I don't know what we're gonna do about college softball players making $1 million because I don't know what economy that works in, but I love it for her. I love it for
Yeah,
her.
absolutely.
And then the biggest piece of the puzzle, I think, is that Athletes Unlimited Softball League is
Yes.
launching right now,
Yeah.
off the momentum of the World Series, and has the backing financially of Major League Baseball, which is
Yeah,
the huge
that's
piece to
huge,
the
huge.
puzzle that has kind of that's kind of been the model for the NBA and the WNBA to
Right.
kind of subsidize that product for a little while until it gets on its feet. And I hope that we'll see that softball league really take shape.
Yeah.
It all
Especially
depends
getting to
on
the
where you can
Olympics
see
in a
it,
couple of
right?
years in LA.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It all depends on where you can see it.
Yep.
That's the key. If you can
Yep.
watch it on television easily or on video easily, then people will watch it. But if it's buried on some app that not everybody has and you
Right.
have to go
Yeah.
seeking it
Yeah.
out, it's probably not going to have a lot of success. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited for it. I'm excited that girls now have something beyond college softball to really realistically aim for. And I promised you I would reveal a new 1L softball staff member. So we got Jordan Slocum, Kylie Rast, Anna Caraballo, Delcy Swift. Callie Erlington is part time. She's up in Columbia, so she doesn't get down that much. But then our newest staff member coming on board this week from Colleton County and North Carolina A&T, Shandy Brown is going to be our coach specializing in outfield base running and slapping, which I know there's not a lot of people around here teaching slapping on a real level who really understand it. So I'm excited to expose some girls to her, and hopefully she can give them some knowledge that they can take with them and continue to develop that skill. Because if you watch that tournament, slapping is a real skill that changes the game in a big way. It's hard to keep those girls off base, man. When they get good at it, it is really hard to get them out.
No doubt, no doubt. It's I'm pumped. Especially
Oh
for that close.
wow,
Oh,
great home run robbery by the A's.
oh.
I don't know who he is, but that was phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm I'm
Sorry.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I think in terms of what we're looking forward to normal, it's wide open, especially from what we've seen in the first regional. So just to see those top seeds knocked off, I would not be surprised. And a little teaser in the bus, we talked about this a bit, but I would not be surprised if Coastal Carolina, or actually it was after hours, after we finished under the bus, um, I would not be surprised if Coastal Carolina wins again in their
I wouldn't
second
either.
appearance in Omaha. I would not be shocked at all. They're
I
just
wouldn't
playing
at
with
all.
that kind of destiny mentality, and I love the way they've bought in together and just playing great fundamental baseball. And man, they just keep executing. Don't make any mistakes. That is what gets you wins this time of year. And I kind of think it feels a lot like 2016 over there
Yeah.
in Conway.
The one thing I worry about is if they lose one along the way, the bounce back, because they haven't lost one in so long. They haven't felt that feeling in so long. How do you bounce back from it? Maybe you're able to bounce right back and go, that sucked. I don't want to do that again, and win the next day, but maybe you're not. The emotional toll may be too much. So that's the only thing I worry about. If they can keep it rolling, I mean, maybe they just roll through it and don't lose a game. But if they do lose one, I'll be interested to see what kind of metal they've got to
Right.
bounce back from that after not doing it for months on end. That's a
Right.
hard thing to swallow when you haven't experienced it in a while. So we'll see. Near home run robbery. Well, shout out. Speaking of under the bus, one of our sponsors is Hudson Seafood House on the Docks, presenting sponsor of Under the Bus. And Wes was at the helm tonight for a new episode. You can check it out on the Lowco Media Network. Curry
Yep.
Kirkpatrick,
Yeah,
Bob
we spent
Stevens, and
we
Rich
spent
Paterico.
20 minutes talking about the instant classic at
French
Roland
Open.
Garros
Yeah.
this past weekend, which is very much warranted after what we witnessed there. So, if you're a tennis fan, come on and watch the good portion of the show, and then stay tuned for the rest of it because there's a lot of tennis talk this week.
Yeah, and Curry is obviously, he covered a ton of tennis in his career and knew all the personalities of what I think of as like the golden age of tennis, the 70s and
George
80s.
McEnroe.
Yeah, he knew all the major players of that time and has stories about all of them. So I love when he talks tennis. He has some great tales that he'll unwind. So go check out Under the Bus, sponsored by Hudson Seafood House on the Docks, and a great place to check out the sunset, get some seafood, cocktails, and call it a night at Hudson's, the iconic place on Hilton Head Island. I think it's the most iconic restaurant on the island, if you ask me.
It's up there for sure. I think it's right there on the top.
Yeah, I think so. Once you walk out on that dock, man, it's
I love it. Just it's especially now during the summer, it's awesome to come over there, and it's just so beautiful weather. If you're dying like around early evening and have yourself
watch
some
the sun go down.
Yeah,
that's the move.
The po' boys die for what I've heard.
Andrew style is the way to get it, I'm told. Courtesy of Mullis, and he knows food.
Yeah.
If the move, if you need furniture, is Hilton Head Furniture. Satola family, big supporters of Hilton Head Christian Academy and the Lowco Sports. They bring handcrafted furniture down from Hickory, North Carolina, and they sell it to you, keeping your home for a long time. With furniture from Hilton Head Furniture right here in the Low Country. And then HHI Windows and Doors. Our friend Coach Barron has hung up his whistle, and now he is working on windows and doors, improving your view of the Low Country at HHI Windows and Doors. We told you last week about Coach Barron and the crew celebrating their Wings and Rings ceremony for the third straight year, and we'll see if Michael Strickland can keep that streak alive this year with the Dolphins this season. I told you guys that we'd check in on the Bluffton Waves, who are up at Cooperstown Dreams Park, which is probably heaven on earth. I mean, it's close. If it didn't rain so much, it probably would be. It does rain a lot there, but that's why they hand you the best rain jacket ever when you walk in.
Yeah, I just remember back to a few years ago when you guys experienced that, and just
2 years ago, believe it or not.
2 years. It's crazy. Wow.
Feels longer. So the Waves are up there. They took an L tonight, but they're now sitting at 3-2. So I think, if I remember correctly, you play 5 pool games.
Play 5, and then you get in the bracket play. Yeah,
I think that's right. So they blew out the Georgia Braves 16-1. They beat the Wranglers 13-0. They lost 14-2 to the Virginia Seminoles. They smoked the Hot Shots 14-1 this morning, and then they lost 16-3 to the PLO Bulldogs. So we'll see who they got next. A lot of lopsided games up there, it seems like. Teams pitch off when they know they're playing a powerhouse team that they don't think they can beat, and then also some of those teams have about 4 or 5 guys that look like grown men, and the fences are 190 feet, and they just crush balls out of there. But it's so fun to watch. It's fun to watch the big boys when they come up to bat, but everybody can jack one out of there if they catch one. That's what's really cool. And the way all the ballparks are like your old school ballpark, right?
Yep.
Where it's all enclosed, green painted fences all the way around, tall fence in the outfield. So when you see that ball soaring toward the fence, you either hear that clank off the wood wall or you just see it disappear, and it's just a beautiful thing.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It's such a great graduation ceremony from 12U baseball to the big field. The last hurrah to try to just blast as many as you can over the fence, because it's going to be a while, boys.
Right.
We got to hit it 400 feet from here on out.
I've got the vision of the kid.
Graham.
I got the vision of the Little League World
12.
Series kid.
Yeah.
My name is Big Al, and I hit
Big
Dennis.
Al. Yeah. whatever
Right.
year that was. I want to say it
Every
was like
team has a Big
2017
Al at Cooperstown.
or 18. He made that proclamation on
Yeah.
ESPN. And then
Yeah.
was it last year or 2 years ago? I saw on Facebook or somewhere. This is Big Al that 5 or 6 years ago said he hits dingers. I think it was because I think it was 2018 that he was in the Little League World Series, and then I guess it would have been last year, 2024. They did an update 6 years later, and he looks like a completely different. Well, he is a completely different dude because it's 6 years difference. He doesn't even look like the same dude anymore. Got dark hair, obviously filled out,
Yeah.
and just
Grown
wild. So
man.
you're talking about that, and we're talking baseball and softball. And now I got Big Al stuck in my head.
I got a kick out of
I
this
hit
the other day. I
dingers.
came across a picture of 11-year-old Bryce Harper, who famously
Oh
went to
my!
Cooperstown 3 times because he guest played as a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old, and then went as a 12-year-old. This is him at 11 on the left after winning the home run
Oh
derby.
dear
He's a
gracious!
giant, and he's not even like the biggest dude
Wow.
at this point, but he was a giant when he was 11. Big old beef
My
boy, thick through
my
the chest.
brother actually got to play there in high school age in the summer with a travel ball team.
Yeah,
One year he got to go down to Palm Beach, Florida, and we
nice.
all went down. I think it was first he went to Palm Beach, and then they went to Cooperstown the next year. I think I have the years right. So we all went down to Cooperstown and got to see him play on Doubleday. And then, of course,
Nice.
after the game, the ladies went and did something, and us guys, we went to the
Went to
Hall
the
of Fame,
hall.
and we were drooling for 3 hours
Yeah,
looking at
so
everything that
cool.
was the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's very
Amazing.
cool. I'd like to go back up there again. I fully intend one day to go back to Cooperstown as an umpire. I've already decided that that's a
That would
bucket
be
list
awesome.
item. I just really appreciated the way that some of the umpires interacted with the kids in the village and stuff, and I want to go. I want to umpire after I'm done
Yeah.
coaching anyway, because I think I've criticized them enough. It's time for me to go go wear the stripes. But no, I mean it's a huge part of the game. It's so important, and
Yep.
for the kids to understand that and get to know some of those guys in the camp and be like, well, these guys are cool. They give me pins to trade, and like because sometimes I don't want to say we vilify them, but sometimes we're mad at them during the game, and
And
rightly so.
again, that makes a really great point, and it illustrates a really great point for the guys that we know in this area that are really good, like a Mark Renix or
Speaking
you
of
know
which,
a
he's with the
bunch
Waves. I
of
would be
of
remiss if I
others.
didn't mention Mark Renix is in Cooperstown with the Waves now. He went with us, and I told John Graves, you got to take Mark Renix with you when you go because he's the perfect guy for the job. He really rallied around our kids and stopped by to check on us and pump us up, and he takes it very seriously. He does it the right way for that place. He gets what that place is about. And so I wanted to make sure he got the chance to go back. And I think he's spending several weeks up there
Awesome.
this year because there's a market out there. Because the way they do it, if you don't bring an umpire, they charge you like $2,500 to hire
Oh
somebody.
dang!
And there's dudes like camped out up there waiting to get the call. And
So
so
out.
what it is the umpires have kind of negotiated like a fair rate from the teams, and the team just pays them to cover their costs and everything. And I think we paid him $1,200 or something, but it was significantly less than we would have had to pay as a penalty if we didn't bring one. And so it's a little cottage umpire industry up there. If you got an RV, you go park it up at the Finger Lakes, and if they call you that week, you go work, and if they don't, then you go fishing.
Yeah,
It's not so bad.
Yeah.
Sounds like
I
a
think
good way to spend a summer, if you ask me.
I think of our buddy Kevin Libby too,
I'd
who has
love to
done a
do.
lot of
It'd be a
officiating too.
perfect summer destination for me, and probably for a lot of high school ball or college baseball players is spend summer in the Cape and just
Hmm.
play ball
Heck
all
yeah.
summer long. Nothing
Oh,
better than that.
I'd love to
Yeah.
someday when I'm older, even older, go umpire in the Cape.
Yes, yes, so
Oof.
that would be a ton of fun.
Maybe I'll get a call from the Savannah Bananas and get to umpire for them. I can't do
Speaking
no
of which,
backflips though.
yeah,
Can't do
yeah,
no backflips.
yeah.
Speaking of which, the Bananas playing?
No, but they sold out Bank of America Stadium this past weekend and back-to-back nights, Friday and Saturday.
Phenomenon.
Yeah.
Who'd they play this weekend?
I guess it was the Party Animals. Yeah, I think it
That's
was
my
the Party
squad.
Animals. Yep.
That's my squad. I'm with the Party Animals. Although I do like the Texas team. What do they
But they
call them?
had Luke Kuechly come out. They had a couple other
Yeah.
Panthers be part of it, which is
They always
yeah,
pull some big names.
yeah.
I mean, that night we were there, they had Travis Hunter. Now, granted, Travis spends a lot of time over in Effingham County, but so he may have just been in town. But still, Travis Hunter right before the draft, that was a good pull.
Big deal.
They've got some sway for sure. Well, I had one other thing that I wanted to show you guys, and that was here we go. It was a rough go for the American squad, but we did have a big golf event on our soil at Congaree um, last week with the international team running away with the Palmer Cup title. There's our lovely. Oh, that's Oakmont actually. Um, so yeah, down at Congaree, the internationals beating the U.S. team 35-25. First time they've won it in the U.S. since 2020, and it's a Ryder Cup style tournament with the best college players, men and women, matching up U.S. versus international, and it was played over at Congaree this week. So very cool. They've had
Yeah.
some cool events there, and I still think that the long range plan involves infrastructure for something bigger. I really do. I think if you look at the growth in Jasper County, I think it's only a matter of time before we have enough growth out that way that there are enough hotels and restaurants close enough to really allow it to accommodate something bigger like a Ryder Cup or a President's Cup or something to that effect. And I think that's what they have their eye on. They have that big expanse of land that really suits itself to it. If they just had a little more infrastructure around, and we're getting a whole new interchange at exit 8 with Bucky's, and it's just gonna Bucky's. You build a Bucky's, they come now. So Jasper County is blowing up. Is blowing up. But all right, well, we're getting down to it, boys. So let's shout out some more sponsors. Base Hit Life. They have baseball and softball themed apparel with cool slogans and catchy puns and such. So if you want to live your best base hit life and look your best on the diamond this year, hit up basehitlife.com. You want to go in style to those state tournaments, softball moms, get you some new styles at basehitlife.com. Dr. Ambrose Cole will get your body feeling right. Your mind, body, and spirit feeling right. He's our official chiropractor. You can find him at Rooted Living Wellness in Bluffton, and I need to go see him now that school's out and I have time during the day. Reverence Wrestling Club's our official wrestling sponsor and presenting sponsor of the Lowco Grind. They're training up the Lowco's best on the mat. So if you want to take your skills on the mat to the next level next year, you got to get to Reverence Wrestling Club this summer and grind it out. Barefoot Floor Care of the Low Country will get your floors so clean, your feet will thank you. So if you come across some dirty, sticky, greasy floors, let them know about our friends at Barefoot Floor Care of the Low Country. And Jay's Barbershop. If you need to get lined up or buzzed down, go to Jay's Barbershop, the place to be in Ridgeland, whether you need a haircut or not. All right, boys, we made it. Parting thoughts. 7 minutes, 6 minutes. Go.
Well, I mentioned earlier that I was in a very busy weekend for sure. Had a very busy Saturday. I ended it at Lincoln and South Saturday evening. I did a piece for WHHI's Daily News that aired today and is going to air until 5 o'clock tomorrow. With the schedule, every hour and a half the news re-airs for Meals on Wheels, and Lincoln and South was the host of this benefit. And I tell you what, it's amazing what Meals on Wheels does. I say, the same thing about second helpings and the other areas of the Low Country and other philanthropic organizations, food banks, etc., that are about certainly giving back through food as well as donations to help families and people that really need it in our backyard. I've said it, and I said it during the interview process that I interviewed Celeste, and I interviewed a couple other people with Meals on Wheels. I talked to Danielle Stonefield, who's obviously very philanthropic with what she does here in the Low Country, being here as long as she has with various chambers and her real estate efforts as well. But you think of food insecurity so much with big time cities in our country and in other countries as well, but it's everywhere, and
it's
that's
very real.
my dad said too.
And this
It
time of
is
year,
everywhere.
it's they get depleted this time of year too, because the kids have been in school and they've been getting 2, or if they have after school care, 3 meals a day at school, and now they're at home, and whoa, the pantry got empty real quick.
Right.
And so people make extra trips, and then all of a sudden the food banks are low. So yeah, they do need help. One thing that I always try to remind people with the food banks is it's always better to donate money than to donate food, because then they can use their purchasing power, and they can tailor it more to specific needs of where they have needs. When you donate food, you may be giving them perishable food that they won't be able to give out before it goes bad, or just an excess of something that they have too much of already. So the best thing is always to give cash if you can. It will go further when you can do that, but certainly any donations are always good, and you can always check their websites and things like that to see what they're specifically in need of, and try to make a trip and grab things that are going to be useful. So great note there, Marcus. We definitely have to support folks, because it's very real, and the economy is not great right now, and people are struggling out there. And one thing we can't do is let people go hungry. So especially kids, we gotta get the kids fed. Wes Kerr, what you got to part with?
I got a pair of parting thoughts. My first one, is locally based. We talked about a former Lowco stud earlier in the show, and Darren Horn. Throw another one at you. Our guy Colton Ferris, former standouts at Beaufort High School, state champ back in 22. He was given an honor by Appalachian State as one of the Mountaineer Men of the Week, alongside Rashawn Dubingham, senior running back. The sophomore Ferries was given a tremendous honor by that program for putting in the work and going above and beyond in the off-season portion of the schedule. So that's how you build yourself in the off-season. I don't think we're surprised that Colton Ferris is earning an award like this at this point of the year. Yeah.
I still think he's the best all-around high school football player I ever saw. That senior year was unreal, the things he did. And when he, remember when he was he a sophomore when he moved to quarterback mid-season and ran the option?
Daniel Ferris played.
Oh, that was Daniel who did that. That's right.
Colton was,
But man, Colton was an animal that senior year, and whatever they asked him to do. And the thing that always sticks out to me is the kick returns. He had like 4 or 5 just absolutely ridiculous kick return touchdown highlights, like a whole lifetime worth in one season. It was crazy. Like a whole lifetime for like a whole team, like a school history worth of eye-popping kick return touchdowns. And his best
the one
side
the playoffs
of the ball was defense.
Yeah, but then I just remember the one in the playoffs. I think it was like
Dylan, was it?
Round or so. I mean, it was a game-changing play.
It was either Gilbert or Dylan.
It was one of those two teams, I believe. But I mean, just incredible how much that completely changed the game around. And
well, he had the one against Crestwood.
He
had the one against Crestwood was the game that they should have lost. And I think he had one like every game. It seemed like in the playoffs.
Either that, or he broke a long run, or he did something on defense.
Phenomenal.
Like a pick or something.
Yeah.
But, just carried that team Well, I mean, there were others as well, of course, but he was a big
I
reason
guess I
why.
should rephrase that. I think that was the single best individual high school football season I've watched. Like, not that he was the best high school football player I ever saw necessarily, but that was the best individual season that I've ever witnessed. It was
Right.
unbelievable the impact he made in all three facets. And yeah, I'm not surprised at all that he's getting their attention up there. And I think we will hear a lot more of him before it's over. I mean, you think about him and Jalen Sneed, very similar players in high school.
Yep.
Ferris maybe just a slight edge, maybe, but I don't know. They're about the same guy, And you look at what Jalen's doing, and you expect Colton to have the same kind of success,
Yeah.
just a matter of time. So, and I
Yeah,
saw the picture you're talking about too.
yeah.
And he looks good, man. He looks really
He's gonna
big
be
and
an animal this year.
strong. So it's gonna be. I'm excited for college football season.
Yeah,
God, I love
yeah, only
college
a
football.
couple months away, but I do have
Oh,
one
gosh,
parting
rush
thought,
yet.
another parting thought, and one that you would really appreciate, JJ, as a fan of something that just celebrated its 10th birthday, and something that you get to be a part of, and they reunited last night. I'm talking about the original cast of Hamilton at the Tony
Oh,
Awards,
yeah,
the 10th
yeah.
anniversary. They did a medley on stage to celebrate that milestone. Manuel Miranda and the gang, just what an iconic musical that has become, and just the incredible songwriting and just musical ability of Lin Manuel Miranda alongside
Incredible.
his fellow players in that musical. Just phenomenal what he was able to do to make that happen, and then just develop it into an absolute overnight success. And I mean, it's been probably the most iconic musical of this generation, at least the last 10, 15 years. And it was well on display and the Tony Awards last night. And I know obviously you had a great memory with seeing that show with the original cast, I believe, when you were on vacation. I mean, you said
Yeah, it
this.
wasn't the entire original cast, but
Okay.
it was Lin-Manuel and some of the other
Okay.
original players when they played the hurricane relief shows in San Juan, Puerto Rico. We tried to get in the ticket lottery, failed, bought plane tickets anyway, and went and got in line and got tickets and got to see it. And it was unbelievable, just unbelievable. I was in the second row and Lin-Manuel Miranda was right there. And then we got to see it on Broadway as well later
Oh,
on,
nice.
not with
Nice.
the original cast, but to get to see Lin Manuel play it, and then also to get to see it on Broadway, both super cool experiences. And the only musical that I've ever seen on Broadway, the only play I've ever seen on Broadway. I saw one in England once in London, and I saw Wicked in Chicago, and
Oh,
that's my
nice.
only Broadway play.
Yeah,
So
I've seen some. I haven't seen Broadway play. I've seen saw Oliver Twist when I was in London once, which was
nice.
certainly interesting.
I'm
But
gonna be in a play.
oh, you are
I'm gonna be in a play in the fall. One of our
very
teachers
nice.
at Hardyville has written a 2-act play, and
Oh, awesome.
her, yeah, she's our teacher of the year, and her daughter's on my softball team, and I was advised that she had a role that she thought I would be good for. I don't know why. He's a jester. He's a
Jester.
jokester. I can't imagine why she thought that I would be good for this role. He's a
Yes.
jokester, and he's the angel of I forget exactly what it is, but basically he's all about like caring for others, and he's a jokester. And I was like, I have no idea why you thought that I would be perfect for this role, but yes, I'm in. I will be Phil. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun. Well, for my parting thought, gosh, I had it. Don't let me lose it. Oh, I have to do a stat boy style correction here. I was a little harsh, and you guys jumped on the bandwagon with me about the Pacers marketing team and their "Yes Sirs" slogan, which I thought was stupid because I've never heard the Pacers called the Sirs. But I was in Kroger the other night, the cool one in Bluffton with the crowbar, and I saw some cool people with Pacers shirts on, and I said, "Go Pacers, rooting for them." We talked, and I said, "I do have one beef though. Yes, sirs, come on." And they said, nah, we like it. And I was like, really? No one calls them the Sirs, though. And they said, no, they do. Like in the last few years, Indiana, like in Indy, they have adopted this. People have started calling them the Sirs. And so I said, okay, well, that kind of changes the metric for me. If people really do call them the Sirs, then yes, Sirs is not as stupid. But it still really trips me up because it looks like Yeskers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Panthers have chased the Oilers starting goalie out of the game. It is all Florida. So it is
not looking good for Canada.
Looking good for the Oil.
Canada's gonna lose again. Florida Panthers. Florida does not deserve as many Stanley Cups as they've won between Florida and Tampa Bay. It's crazy.
I think it's something to say about the attractiveness of those two markets. Of just,
I guess. I mean, there's a lot of Canadian snowbirds down there, but not now. Not during the playoffs. They're all the way back.
I think that's it right there. They want to get out of the cold and play.
Yeah,
I think
that's true.
Financial reasons to it as well, but
you got no state income tax, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Which is funny. I saw on that note. I saw that Nico, he lost a lot of money when he held out from Tennessee and went to UCLA because he's getting hit hard on those state income taxes.
Yep.
He ends up getting like a third as much as he was going to make at Tennessee. So grass ain't always greener, boys and girls. Don't play with fire unless you want to get burned.
I thought
what do you got,
one
Marcus?
thing, tough day for the Cleveland Browns. Tough last couple of days for sure. But leading into this with Nick Chubb.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
And heading to the Houston Texans, who, oh, by the way, have had the Browns number several times in recent and non so recent years.
So now you got 5 quarterbacks and no Nick Chubbs. It's not looking great.
No.
It's not looking like this will be the year they turn it around in Cleveland. That's what you're saying.
All the best to Nick Chubb. Lord. And what could have been.
Hey, they might get hard knocks.
Browns.
Wouldn't that be something?
That could be.
Just the quarterback room alone would be worth it. All right, boys. Well, it's been fun. And Stitch is peeking. Oh, did you want to be on camera, buddy? There he is.
There he is.
Lord. Hey, buddy. Oh. He's like, oh my God, I just saw myself. That was freaky. All right, boys. It's been fun. It's been real. It's been fun. Has it been real fun? Pretty fun.
It always is.
I'm being honest. All right, boys. It's been fun. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Thanks to all of our sponsors, especially the OGs, Mickelson Law Firm. Thanks to everybody who shows up to listen or watch. And thanks to my wingmen. For Marcus Walsh and Wes Kerr, I'm Justin Jarrett. I'm sure we'll take a night or two off, but we'll be back real soon to tell you more about what's happening around the Loco and whatever else comes to our minds. So until next time, go Loco.
The LowcoSports Lowdown podcast is a production of Lowco Media LLC and LowcoSports.com, an independent media outlet providing grassroots local sports coverage in the South Carolina Lowcountry. We are sustained by community support from sponsors and patrons like you. Get in the game with a monthly pledge of $1 or more at patreon.com/LowcoSports to keep us going and growing. Go Lowco.